The RLA has never supported the right to rent check requirements that was introduced in the last immigration bill, and we certainly have concerns about the extension of powers and the introduction of criminal penalties round about right to rent. In our view, it's an unnecessary burden on landlords. It's another piece of bureaucracy to go through. It won't deliver the government's aims. The trial period in the West Midlands really didn't deliver very many prosecutions, but what it did do was create the potential for discrimination, both direct discrimination and indirect discrimination. The real issue is for tenants, however, and particularly vulnerable tenants. There are the main identification document that landlords are likely to ask for is a British passport. Now, there are 12 million British citizens who don't currently have a valid passport. There's an equally large number who don't have a driving licence, and for these vulnerable tenants who are quite often in the private rented sector, it really is a barrier to them being able to secure and sustain a tenancy. If landlords are going to be risk averse, and if there's a threat of a jail sentence hanging over landlords for getting this wrong, they will be risk averse, then there's a huge pool of people, the most vulnerable people within the sector, who are going to lose out on good quality, safe and secure housing because the government has decided to put another burden in the place of landlords looking to let their properties. The key thing to remember about the right to rent check, it is a very document-driven process. The government website has a list of documents that are acceptable to prove either an unlimited or a time-limited right to rent. And if a prospective tenant can't produce anything from these document lists, then a landlord really has to assume they have no right to rent. So the starting point is those two lists of documents on the Home Office and DCLG websites, gov.uk. The RLA also produces a guide on how to rent on our website, and we run training courses for those people who want to look a bit more in depth into the issues. I think the key thing to remember for landlords is the vast majority of people in the UK do have a valid right to be here and do have a right to rent, and again, in the vast majority of cases, carrying out the checks will be relatively simple, but there will be a minority of people who will struggle to produce the right documentation, and there will be a very small minority of landlords who will seek to exploit these people if they cannot rent accommodation from reputable landlords. The RLA have just entered into a new partnership with Inventory Plus. It's an online system, as the name suggests, to help with your inventory process, but also includes a right to rent document checking process where you can go through online and see what the process you need to go through and what you need to see to make sure that you have the comfort that you've carried out your right to rent checks properly. And if you do find yourself receiving a letter from the government, a letter from the Home Office, that you can produce the documentation you require to provide your defence.